Ladies and gentlemen, in front of me I have Ducati's 2023 Desert X. They have let us loan this motorcycle for the last 30 days. So in today's video, I have been spending every single day with this motorcycle. We are very good friends now, and I've been treating it as my daily for the last 30 days. And today I'm going to tell you guys what I feel about this motorcycle. So if you guys are in the market for this motorcycle, this is going to be more of a living with review of this bike. I am so freaking excited. I cannot wait to get this video started. Let's get it going. So guys, as you guys have probably seen, if you've been following all of our Desert X content, we got to go out to the press launch with this motorcycle. Thank you, Ducati, for that. And now we've gotten this motorcycle here to ride in my daily thing. Now, before we get started, I did want to give you guys a heads up of how my 1 month reviews go. So if you guys want to know all about the specs and all the technical information about this motorcycle, you're probably wanting to watch our first ride review. I'll put a link for that in the description down below. Today's video is more about, hey, you've put a couple hundred miles on this motorcycle. What are the tiny things that I end up liking or don't like on this motorcycle? That's kind of where I come into my 1 month reviews, and that's how they differ from my first ride. So if you want all the technical aspects, check out the first ride. If you want all the nitty-gritty details of the things that I've noticed over the last month, stick around for this video. So guys, starting off, let's talk about looks. I've been coming out of this motorcycle and the looks have not lessened on me at all. I love the looks of this bike. I very much so like the white. I'm not a huge fan of that new black version. I'll put an image of that here. Some people like that. I kind of feel like the Desert X needs to have this whole whited out situation. And I also love the look of the exhaust. I will say, I'll crank it up here in a second, but for a Termi exhaust on a Ducati, I'm not a huge fan of the sound, but I'll let you guys hear that in a second. A couple of the modifications that this bike has, we do have the crash bars, we do have the upgraded skid plate, and obviously that exhaust is aftermarket. We also have the guards for the headlights. I think this is a fantastic package. Love the way Ducati sent it to us, but one of the really cool things about the Desert X that I really appreciate is Ducati has a ton of modifications that you can get from them. You don't even have to go aftermarket to modify this motorcycle into whatever you want it to be. Do you want it to be more touring? Do you want it to be more off-road? You can make all these modifications and get stuff from Ducati. I think that's a super awesome thing that they're doing. So let's get this thing cranked up. I'll let you guys hear it because, like I said, I feel like the bike should sound better than it does. Being a Ducati with a Termi exhaust, all of those things. I do want to be clear, I don't think it sounds bad. I just think I had higher expectations. So, it's okay. Those are my opinions on that. Now, something that is very okay is this screen. This little 5-inch TFT display has been absolutely phenomenal. I know I've heard a couple of you guys comments of you're not really sold on the screen or not, but I'll tell you one thing, guys. When I can hit a button and I can go up and down to go into whatever mode I want to go into, then hit a button again, the controls and the screen are fantastic. Now, we'll talk about the rider modes as we're going. I'll tell you guys what I feel about those modes, but I did want to show you guys the screen real quick before we got too deep into this video. All right, so guys, this, I tell you guys all the time, Ducati is leading in the menu department, and this is how. If I go to riding mode, let's just say I go into touring mode. When I go into power, you notice that the engine is red. You notice when I go to ABS, the brakes are red. DCT, the rear wheel. Like, this is what I mean by Ducati makes their modes very understandable. So let's go to power. Power. I'm in high. I've got high power, smooth. As you go down, it makes it very obvious what you're changing. You wouldn't think that this is a big deal, guys. But as a guy that rides a ton of motorcycles, the fact that Ducati has a menu system that makes that much sense, it's fantastic. It's some of the best menus, and that's on a little 5-inch screen. I know a lot of people comment about the Desert X saying that the screen's a little tiny, but I have not had a problem looking at that screen, getting the information that I need to get from it. I know the screen does look tiny, especially with it being a bigger motorcycle, but I haven't had a problem with it at all. I don't know if it's because of this parking lot or what, but do you guys notice that every time I do a 1 month review, I always feel like I have to start doing little U-turns or something like that, just to show the, are those two people filming? I love it. They're filming themselves running. That's fantastic. So one of the things I want to talk about before we get going too far is the maneuverability of this motorcycle, and it's one of the main primary things that I love about this Desert X. The Desert X is a bit heavier, and that would worry some people, but what I've noticed is the mixture of the front wheel being very light, and it's a 21-inch front tire. The front wheel is very light and the steering is very light. So it makes this bike incredibly maneuverable, both off-road and in traffic on the road. The maneuverability that I can do with this bike, like especially with like no bags on it, so the bike feels a little thinner. There's times where there's a lot of traffic. I'm on this big old ADV bike, and dude, I'm over here doing like this through traffic, like trying to get through cars and stuff. Literally did it this morning, and it saved me 2 red lights. So I am a huge fan of the maneuverability. I honestly think the Desert X might be in like the top, I don't know, might be in the top 4 on maneuverability for motorcycles. Alrighty guys, let's start this video by talking about the controls, because they're amazing and I absolutely love them. A lot of you guys probably know we're not talking about a cheap motorcycle. I'm pretty sure the Desert X comes in at a price tag of like 17 grand. It is not cheap, but that's okay. A bike doesn't have to be cheap, but as long as you feel like you're getting everything out of that motorcycle for that price, that's what matters, and I definitely feel like that on the Desert X. These buttons specifically, all the instrument buttons, they are the premium feel that you would expect out of a top-notch motorcycle. Of all the riding I've done, I've absolutely loved the buttons. I love the feeling. This is the pinnacle of what I expect a button to feel like. Another thing referencing with the buttons is the usability of the buttons with the screen. Now, I told you guys changing modes on this bike is incredibly simple, right? It's probably the easiest it can be. It's a mode button, hold, click up and down, click it one more time, close throttle, and boom, I'm in that mode. The whole screen changes. It's very obvious what modes are there, and then it gives you the info there at the bottom. I'll show you. Even if you're going through all these modes and you forget what's what, it literally gives you all the information here and still gives you your speed and your gearing. I think Ducati does a phenomenal job in this department. I don't even know what you could do better. Like, I can't imagine an easier way to utilize the modes in a motorcycle. So golf clap, love it. Love it long time, and please continue doing that. Let's see if I can stop it and not put my foot down and then keep going. I did it! If you couldn't tell by the by the noise coming out of my mouth. So guys, next thing I want to talk about are the individual modes and which ones I have kind of find myself in the majority of the time. So I'm currently in sport mode. So we've got sport, and you guys can see all the info down there. So we've got sport, we've got urban, we've got touring, we've got wet, enduro, and rally. I feel like it's a really good setup for modes that you need to have on a motorcycle. I really don't even think they need 4 road modes. I feel like you need sport, you need wet, and then like maybe a little middle mode. As far as the modes that I find myself in, when I go off-road, because I'm, you know, the noob that I am off-road, I always find myself in enduro mode. Rally mode turns off too many of the electronics. Oh,
what the dog
okay,
doing?
that's certainly a thing you can do. So rally mode turns off basically all the electronics, and you're just like at the whim of whatever nature has for you. I find myself feeling a lot more comfortable in enduro mode. So anytime I've done off-road with this motorcycle, I'm always in enduro mode. It's very confidence inspiring, even for somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, which is definitely the category I find myself in. Now, my favorite mode is the mode I am currently in, and that is Sport. That is the mode I feel the most comfortable in. Riding on the street is where I feel the most comfortable. And you would be shocked at how well this bike handles itself on the road. It makes no sense for a motorcycle with a 21-inch front tire and an 18-inch rear tire to perform like this motorcycle does. It is absolutely great. I love it so much. That sign is absolutely destroyed. What the hell happened to that?
Now that's a lot of damage.
Sorry, got super distracted by the sign. But yeah, guys, I love Sport mode. I feel like I can have a really fun time on an adventure bike riding it sporty, which I didn't really expect when I first came into the Desert X, especially at the press launch. Sport mode just gives you all of that power. Oh my God, the balance is so good. Yeah, you guys know I'm an idiot. I love riding on the road, and this bike literally gives me everything I could want in a road bike. I don't even think you would need a super sport or a sporty motorcycle, because once you get really comfortable on this bike, you can really rail this thing. So sport mode's where I live the majority of the time. Now, like I told you guys, guys can kind of see the weather today. It's kind of nasty. And we've had a few nasty days while I've had this motorcycle. Hadn't been all sunshine and rainbows. I do find myself going into wet mode. There's been a couple days where I'm leaving work a little late and it's raining and it's gross outside. But I've got this ADV bike that I can take home. So I put that thing in wet mode, and the bike's done a fantastic job. I'm getting to the point where I really like having a lot of good electronics on a motorcycle. And in the times in the wet where I've maybe started pushing it a little too hard, the electronics have come on in a very controllable way. It doesn't kind of mess me up or get really, what's the word, like intrusive. And the only other mode that I have found myself in, I think I've gone into touring mode a couple times. Now, touring mode is basically sport mode with a little less power, and you can go in and customize everything to your heart's desire if you want to. But touring mode just dials the power down a little bit, dials the intervention up a little bit, and I've gone into that a couple times when it's mostly like in the morning. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning and I got to ride to work, and I'm like, you know what, I don't know if I need sport mode. I need something like sport mode -1 type situation. So that's most of the time when I've used that, or if I'm just going to be on the highway for a little while. I gotta be honest, I don't think I've ever put this motorcycle into urban mode, which is kind of why I kind of lead to, I don't feel like a motorcycle needs 4 road modes. And you guys can let me know in the comments if you guys can think of a reason why you would need 4 road modes. As far as I'm concerned, give me full power, give me not full power, give me wet, and give me pro off-road, and give me idiot off-road. 5 modes for an ADV bike, I think, is the sweet spot. I think Ducati overall has done a phenomenal job setting these modes up right out of the get-go to cover all of your bases plus some. So guys, speaking of sunshine and rainbows, this is not a perfect motorcycle. Let's talk about some of the things that I think could be a little better. The first thing we can talk about is the seat. So the seat's not bad, but one of the things the seat makes me feel like I wouldn't really want to do is an all-day ride, like a touring situation. We all know adventure bikes are, basically off-roadable touring bikes, right? The seat, I feel like, is a little hard for a bike that I should want to ride all day long. Like, I want to wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, and then go for a ride, and then come back right before the sun goes down. That's the type of ride that I should want to do on this motorcycle. But with the seat being a little harder than I kind of want it to be, it makes me feel like I couldn't really do that. I think the most I've ridden this bike in one day is about 5 hours, and my butt was definitely feeling that time. I don't know if Ducati has a comfort seat option. I know Yamaha offers comfort seats on some of their models. So like, if they offered a comfort seat and I owned this motorcycle, that is 100% something I would jump on very quickly, because everything else about the bike is so good. I just want to be able to be on it longer, and that would allow me to do that. All right, guys, next area for improvement on the Desert X is that guy right there. I'll show you what I mean. So guys, one of the issues that I found kind of initially with this bike is in the throttle, which is kind of weird. There is a lot of free play in this throttle before it actually starts engaging with the engine. So I'm going to twist it, and I want you guys to listen to the revs. Right there. Now, I know watching that, it's going to seem like there's almost no free play. The adjustments you have to make with your hand and the throttle are very subtle, and it's a little longer than my brain expects to have throttle. Now, I've been riding the bike for almost a month, and I still kind of have that feeling of like, where's my throttle? Where's my throttle? Where's my throttle? There it is. That has led to me losing a little bit of confidence while riding this motorcycle, which is interesting because I don't remember having that issue at the press launch when I was in Aspen, Colorado. Now, I don't know if that's because I was just super excited in that moment. I wasn't really thinking. But now that I've had the bike here, you know, in my hometown area, you know, I've noticed little things like that. And that is why I do 1 month reviews, because that's the kind of stuff that you notice after spending, you know, a couple hundred miles on a motorcycle. I think over time, I might eventually get that feeling figured out. So yeah, guys, throttle's a little weird. Now, here's another weird thing. I have seen some comments from people saying that this is not the only Ducati that has that weird throttling thing. Apparently, you can buy these cheap little spacers to put in your throttle that will solve that problem. It might sound odd on a Ducati 1 month review, but there's a cost-effective option to fix something, which we love. We love the cost effectiveness. So guys, next thing I want to talk about that it's not necessarily a negative, but it's kind of dependent on how you prefer your motorcycles. I have noticed that the Desert X is a pretty short geared motorcycle, meaning that you're going to be shifting a lot because the gears just don't last very long. That's not necessarily a problem. If you like kind of like going up and down through the gears, then this bike's going to be awesome for you, and you're really going to enjoy that. I find myself even going through town, you can see right now I'm only going 50. If I shift when I feel like I need to shift on this bike, I end up shifting a lot, both up and down, even in city settings. That's not really a problem in the city because you're more engaged with your motorcycle, which I do think is cool. I will say when I'm off-road and I'm in that situation where I am having to shift a lot, me being kind of new to off-road and having to like probably not getting my footing correct, I feel like I have to shift a lot, which means I have to move my foot on my left foot to get under the shifter and shift. Whereas when I'm off-road, I'm like, dude, I don't need anything to wiggle me right now because I'm terrified. So it's one of those situations where I do wish it had a longer, I mean, honestly, for me, it would be awesome if it had a longer second gear and I could just sit in second gear for a little while off-road because I'm not doing anything crazy fast. So if I had a longer second gear, you know, I could just pop it into second and just kind of chill there. But instead, I find myself kind of like going up and down through the gears, even in slower off-road situations, because that's where I feel naturally the bike needs to sit for my comfort level. All right, guys, two final topics that I want to hit on before we end this video up. One of those is a pro, and that is the fuel economy I've been getting out of this bike. I don't even have the big boy tank. You can get like an extra reserve tank for the back of the motorcycle, but even with just the stock tank, I have found that I can go forever before I need to fill up, which has been absolutely awesome. I think just going back and forth to work, one tank of gas would get me about 2 weeks worth, which is awesome. That is a fantastic amount. And especially for a motorcycle that you're going to want to go on these big adventures on. So, in perfect timing, I think I filled up about 2 weeks ago, which is hilarious. So, I've got 37 miles left. I love the little barring on the top, and it just kind of like works its way down. But gas tank lasts forever. Final thing I want to touch on is that you guys know I'm back in Georgia where things get hot. This bike does tend to get warm when you are going slow or stuck in traffic, or, you know, just kind of sitting on the side of the road, like trying to figure out, you and your buddies, what like a dirt path to go down. This bike, when it doesn't have a decent amount of airflow, does tend to get really hot. That heat I feel a lot on my legs, and I also feel in the bottom of the seat. It is to the point where it can start getting uncomfortable if it gets really hot. Oh yeah, one more thing before I end it up. The screen. The screen is decent, but I really would like Ducati to offer, or some aftermarket company, to offer an adjustable windscreen similar to the seat. I really wish I just had a little more wind protection on the highway if I'm going super far distances. So those are all the things that I have picked up on while riding this bike for the last month. Overall, if I was to rate this motorcycle, I'd have to rate it as one of my top 2 favorite ADV bikes on the market right now. I do know it's a more expensive ADV bike in the $17,000 range, at least for a mid-level ADV bike. For everything that you get and how capable this motorcycle is and how confident it makes me in all riding conditions, I am a huge fan. I absolutely love this motorcycle. I do think it is worth that more expensive price tag. If you guys are a capable off-road rider, if you got a little bit of experience, I think anybody would have an absolutely amazing time on this motorcycle. It's one of those strange bikes, man, that you can buy this and this can be your only motorcycle. It can literally do everything. Super fun riding it technically on the road in sport mode. Throw the thing in enduro mode. You can go off-road. You can go touring on it. It literally knows no bounds. So you get like 3 motorcycles. You get 3 bikes for the price of 1. If you guys are looking for an extremely fun all-arounder and you like the looks of it, I think you guys are going to absolutely dig the hell out of this motorcycle. If I've had as much fun on it as I have no doubt you guys will as well. If you guys have any questions about the Desert X, let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to get you guys some answers on them. But yeah, guys, make sure to hit that like button. And in case you missed it, I doubt you did if you're into the Desert X content, I will include the press launch here at the end of the video. You guys should definitely check that out. Had way too good of a time with this motorcycle. But guys, I'm Chaseontwowheels. Make sure to hit the like button. You guys ride safe, subscribe for more motorcycle content, and I'll see you on the next one. That's it, Ducati Desert X. You've been absolutely awesome, and I am sad to send you away.